Hey guys, so all right. Yesterday I posted something on Facebook that obviously was not the popular opinion, and I knew I would receive some sort of criticism for it, but that's fine. I can take the criticism because the fact is, I feel like if I have something to say and I believe in what I'm saying and I'm not saying anything unhealthy, I know people are gonna have certain things to say that are negative, but I will still stand by what I'm saying. I will still stand by what I'm saying. So my post anyway was about that George Floyd mural that was struck by lightning. Okay, so I basically was saying that I don't think it's a coincidence that this happened. Okay, so there's only one God, and what people were doing with, with like this guy's image, like making statues of him. I've seen images with him portrayed as a saint. It's almost parallel to worship at this point. All the way back to when we were first introduced to him a year ago under the knee of a police officer. And we'll get this out the way right now. Everyone who saw that video can unanimously come to one agreement that that death was pretty sick and disgusting to watch. I mean, no matter what happened to lead up to that moment, no matter his past, no one deserves to die in such a suffocating manner. Okay, so I think we all can agree on that. Okay, this officer is in jail but after his death, people also too, after his death, people said that it opened their eyes to the things that takes place in America, like such as discrimination and things like that. And that's a good thing. I mean, I'm not saying he should die for that cause, but I mean, it really was an eye-opener to see somebody really think that he had the right to step on somebody's neck like that for so long like that, just with his knee, and just didn't even move it. But so it really was an eye-opener, and I can appreciate that. But as time has gone on, the liberal media, BLM organization, Al Sharpton, Joe Biden, and all sorts of other people have placed him on a pedestal. And I don't believe that he should be placed on a pedestal because of his life. Like, I don't. And I'm not saying again that his past erases his murder, but the saint-like drawings and everything is just not. I mean, that mural that got hit by lightning, people were visiting it apparently like daily, like dropping stuff off, flowers, things. It's almost like, again, worship. Like, and he had a rap sheet. Okay, he had a rap sheet. And the last time he was committed of a crime, like, he went to jail for 5 years for an invasion in this woman's house. Her name was Araceli Henriquez. So he dressed up as somebody from the water department. And when she went to open the door, she realized like, she quickly realized like, this is not somebody from the water department. She tried to shut the door, but then he forced it open. Then he put a gun to her stomach, while 5 other creeps came into her house, looking through her cabinets of personal items, looking for money. And when she screamed for help, some coop came over and hit her upside the head a few times with his pistol. And when they couldn't find money or anything else, they just stole her cell phone. Mind you, all this is going on, and there's another woman in the house, and there's children in the house as well. Okay, and then they left. So all that for a cell phone. Not saying that even if y'all got out of there with like hundreds of thousands of dollars that it was worth it either. That's terrible. So he did plead guilty to his part in this, and then he did 5 years in prison. Real quick disclaimer here: the story about Araceli says, like, a lot of people say that she was pregnant when this happened. I can't find in black or white that she was pregnant, like in the police report. Not that they would have reported if she was, because it's not necessarily pertinent to the crime that was committed, but I cannot find that in the report. A lot of people do say she was pregnant. He did put his gun on her belly, but I will say that I can't find in black and white where it says she was pregnant, so I can't confirm or deny if she was or not. But I mean, really, really, you bust into a female's house, you're putting a gun to her stomach, causing all this fear. I will say, after he got out of prison, He never went back again. That last time, I think he got out somewhere around 2014, something like that. And then he never had any new charges after that. And so he's on video making, there's record of him making videos telling young kids, put the gun down, the gangbanging is not worth it, things like that. So I can appreciate that. But something obviously went wrong, because on the day of his death, he had drugs in his system and he was using a counterfeit 20 of all the amounts. It's a shame he had to use a counterfeit 20. And so before we could even have the discussion of what's going on in America, that a 40-something-year-old man has to use a counterfeit 20, is, hocked up on drugs. This is all around the pandemic time and shutdowns and stuff. Before we could have that discussion to see what we need to do better, BLM swept up the narrative. Democrats, they used it for their, for their campaigning. Or the media enjoyed it. They had something to report on. It was COVID and that. People rioted. No-go zones were created. People and children lost their lives in his name as a result of riots that were happening throughout the nation. And shrines went up. We built shrines. And so my problem is this. My 10-year-old cousin said she looked him up after hearing his name so much and talking about everything that happened. So she wanted to know more about him, because why wouldn't you? If this is a symbol of civil rights, right? And Al Sharpton said that he is, okay? So when she looks into him, she finds out he has a checkered past. So it's this is supposed to be some black hero, because that's how he's being put out there. And when the kids find out, it's oh, once again, here you go. Here's your representative, a guy who gets involved with things, bad things. That doesn't take, I'm not saying what kind of a person he was. I'm just talking about the facts of what's going on. The representation is too important, black folk, behold your martyr. Al Sharpton again calls him the symbol of civil rights. No. While his death was tragic, I'm not accepting that. I'm not. Because first of all, the liberal media, the liberals, they gave y'all a symbol. They gave y'all somebody who you could say his name all you want. Y'all could put up all these statues, murals, everything. We don't have no issue with that, because he's, when you find out about him, it's not too many stand-up things you can say. But they didn't. But I'm sure there's countless of other brothers that they could put up that have been through death unarmed by police, that we could have talked about, that we didn't talk about so much, who didn't have a crazy rap sheet. Okay, I'm not here to discuss how many cops that, I'm not saying all cops are bad, and I'm not here to discuss cops. Nobody talked though about Dan Roy Henry Jr. Yeah, this kid was a college football player in New York, and came from affluent family, a black kid, killed by a cop in the plaza, trying to get out the way because they were fighting. This guy shoots him. The guy is not in jail. He's not a cop anymore, but he's not in jail. And there's a murder that didn't get any assistance. There's a murder that didn't get any justice. There's a black guy who was unarmed who got shot, but he's not propped up. There's not one mural. There's not one statue. Why? Because he's also an example of black folk. If you work hard, or if you put your mind to it, you can get things done. I'm serious. He's not an example of oppression. He's not the appropriate black guy for the cause. Terrible. I tell you, George Floyd's story is like many black men. Most black men in America. No, that's not true. That's not. Joe Biden loves to tell black people that, black people are afraid to go to the market because of the police. No. While some black people in the inner cities are afraid to step out the house, it's not because of the police. But that's a whole nother video. We're always saying we need representation. We're always saying how it's important and things so understand what I'm saying when I'm telling you that the representation that's being given, that's being allowed, that's being propped up, is not the one you want your kids to see. I want to answer to some of the criticism that I did receive. I'm going to answer to it because some of it I just thought it was hilarious. But anyway, The first one was not a criticism. It was, said to me that his martyrdom was unintentional. You better believe it was intentional, okay? You better believe it was. This is who y'all allowed to have. This is the statues y'all allowed to have. Wife beater George Floyd sitting on a bench. Okay? That's what you get. You better believe it was intentional. Because with the ideology that's going on in this nation right now, we must remind black people that, this guy is pretty much you, and what happened to him can happen to you. It's not true. And no other race connects to criminals as heroes, man. Nobody else does this, for real. And so, and the criticism I receive, if you hate black men, just say it. I mean, damn. So I gotta hate all black men because I have high standards for black men. So I automatically hate black men. Like, damn. Like, all I'm saying is, don't accept the fact that they saying that this person represents you. His story is not the black man's story. So one certainly has nothing to do with the other. When I think of black men, I think of fathers who care about their family so much that they stay away from trouble so that they can get home to their family every day. Do you know how many brothers I know who are struggling at times trying to live right just for their children? They work 2 jobs, work overnight, missing sleep. Some of these men are being destroyed in child support, and they still see their kids, spend time with their kids, and spend their own money outside of child support on their children. I know young black men with 5-year plans who are putting in work and actually getting to their goals. I know young black men who respect their mothers and their fathers, and they've never seen the inside of a jail. I know black men who have seen the inside of a jail and didn't go back because they realized it's not for them. This is not the black man's story. I know black men who've been married to their wives for over 50 years, making the marriage work and being patriarchs of their families. I know black men who are in school, who know a lot about stocks, who are politically aware, who are full of information, who are nurses, who are doctors, who are plumbers, SEPTA drivers, welders, photographers, contractors, lawyers, business owners, and so much more. So, no, I don't hate black men. I love black men. But George Floyd is not your representation. Because I love black men, I can tell you that he's not your representation. I'm sorry if I'm wrong for saying that, but I'm not sorry. I'm being very facetious when I said I was sorry. So it's like, why do you have to connect to that? Like, you don't have to, okay? That doesn't make you any less black that you don't connect to that story. So then another one, of course, you don't have issues with Trump supporters looking at him like a god, or, you don't bring up his rape allegations. I really don't know what Trump has to do with this. It is the most hilarious thing to me. Like, if any point is being made about something that's countering the popular thought, it's like Trump. Trump doesn't have nothing to do with this. What do you say? I don't understand, and I'm not even gonna answer. He has nothing to do with this. Okay, so moving on. You have a tendency to believe everything racist Trump supporter says. Again, completely confused. I don't know when I believed everything a racist Trump supporter. Oh, racism, Trump, racism. Bring up the facts or something. Like, that was an emotional thing to say. I'm not going to even solidify that with an answer. And this one actually was sad. Everyone has a past, and if this was happening to me, you would be on here calling me a drug dealer. And the person who wrote that knows that that's a complete lie. Okay, I would never do that. First off, I don't even, if this happened to me, there we go again, connecting. It shouldn't happen to you because you don't live that life. From what I know about this person, he's not getting stopped by the cops every day. And I'm pretty sure if he did get stopped by the cops, he would just put his hands on the wheels and show the license. I'm sorry. I know too many people, when they do get stopped by the cops, they still make it home. Okay? I can't even tell you how many times I've been stopped by the cops. Okay? We don't even want to talk about it. It's embarrassing. All right? So that person knows that that's a complete lie to say that. That's actually like a slander because you had nothing else to say. And while you're slandering me, I'm telling you that I don't even want to speak on that scenario because I don't even want to contemplate if it was you that, no. Okay? Lastly, but if you're perfect, then that's cool too. I'm not perfect. God is perfect. The word in the Bible is perfect. So the Bible tells me, do not take any false prophets or put any other gods before him. Symbolism is real, okay? And it was displayed in the George Floyd situation. If nothing else sinks in, how much money is spent on this stuff? The murals, the statues. How much money is spent on this? Why can't it go to the inner city schools? Something for the kids. This is baseless waste of money. Yes, it is. If nothing else makes any sense, if nothing else hits you, it's a baseless waste of money. Okay? So, again, that lightning bolt should have really been an eye-opener for people because symbolism is real. And while Floyd's death was tragic for many reasons, let's not lose sight of who we are. We should not parade him around as a hero, and I've already stated all the reasons as to why. Okay? John chapter 4, verse 1 tells us, Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets gone out into the world. And that pretty much sums it up. I said better than I can say. All right, you guys have a good night. Thank you for listening. All right, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell and everything else, because this type of stuff, I feel like people should hear two sides to something. You don't have to believe or go along with everything I said, but there should be dialogue. So like and subscribe. It does really help with the algorithm. Everybody who watches, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You guys have an awesome night.